Why was Eisenhower a fan of interstate highways?
In 1919, the young Dwight D. Eisenhower took part in a cross-country military trip from Washington, D.C. to San Francisco. But, due to the state of the highways at that time, the trip took 62 days, far too long to defend the country should the need arise. This experience made Eisenhower realize the need for a faster, more efficient mode of transportation across the country. Because of President Eisenhower's support for the interstate highway system, it is now officially known as the Dwight D. Eisenhower System of Interstate and Defense Highways.
Of all countries in Africa, which countries were never colonized?
Only 3 countries escaped the onslaught of European colonial occupation: Liberia, Ethiopia, and Sudan.
Who invented the first train?
In 1825, British engineer George Stephenson invented the first train, which was powered by steam. Stephenson's train was introduced to North America in the 1830s and was used until the 1940s, when diesel-electric locomotives, which didn't run on expensive coal, replaced steam locomotives.
How does the hydrologic cycle work?
The movement of water from the atmosphere to the land, rivers, oceans, and plants, and then back into the atmosphere is known as the hydrologic cycle. We can pick an arbitrary point in the cycle to begin our examination. Water in the atmosphere forms clouds or fog and falls, precipitates, to the ground. Water then flows into the ground to nourish plants, or into streams that lead to rivers and then to oceans. Or it can flow into the groundwater, underground sources of water. Over time, water sitting in puddles, rivers, and oceans is evaporated into the atmosphere. Water in plants is transpired into the atmosphere. The process of water moving into the atmosphere is collectively known as evapotranspiration.
Where was the first atomic bomb used on a populated area?
The Japanese city of Hiroshima was leveled by an atomic bomb dropped by the United States on August 6, 1945. 3 days later, the United States dropped a second bomb on Nagasaki, Japan. While these events may have hastened the Japanese surrender in World War II, over 115,000 people were killed immediately due to the blasts, and many more died later due to radiation-related diseases.
What different types of lightning are there?
There are four types of lightning: cloud to cloud, within a cloud, cloud to ground, and cloud to air. Of course, cloud to ground is the most dangerous form of lightning. Especially in the spring and summer months, when more people are more likely to be outside.
What is a topographic map?
A topographic map shows human and physical features of the Earth and can be distinguished from other maps by its great detail and by its contour lines indicating elevation. Topographic maps are excellent sources of detailed information about a very small area of the Earth. The United States Geological Survey, USGS, produces a set of topographic maps for the United States that are at a scale of 1:24,000, 1 inch equaling 2,000 feet or 1 centimeter equaling about 240 kilometers. You can purchase these maps online, at sporting goods stores, or through the USGS itself.
How can GPS keep me from getting lost?
A GPS unit provides precise latitude and longitude for the location of the device. By using a handheld GPS unit along with a map that provides latitude and longitude, such as a topographic map, you can determine your precise location on the Earth's surface. This is a valuable tool for those who hike or travel in remote regions and for ships at sea. GPS is now widely available in cars, as standalone, portable, pocket-sized devices, on cell phones, and even on the boxes that ship products that you buy. In short, GPS is used in all aspects of our lives.
What is the European Union?
In 1951, 6 Western European countries joined together in the European Coal and Steel Community. As more members joined, the organization grew in scope and soon became an organization that helped mend and meld the economies of Europe. In 1993, the European Community was renamed the European Union, EU. Today, there are 27 member states: Austria, Belgium, Bulgaria, Cyprus, Czech Republic, Denmark, Estonia, Finland, France, Germany, Greece, Hungary, Ireland, Italy, Latvia, Lithuania, Luxembourg, Malta, the Netherlands, Poland, Portugal, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, Spain, Sweden, and the United Kingdom. The European Union has a flag, an anthem, and in 1999 began using a single monetary unit, the euro.
Are there more people or sheep in New Zealand?
There are just over 4 million people in New Zealand, but nearly 56 million sheep. New Zealand has long been a leading exporter of wool.
Are there an equal number of boy and girl babies born?
Though scientists aren't sure why it occurs, there is an average of 105 boys born for every 100 girls.
Why don't Americans eat horse meat?
Most religions and cultural groups have some kinds of food taboos. Foods may be avoided entirely or may be avoided on certain days or during certain festivals. Religious food taboos include the avoidance of pork by Muslims and Jews and the avoidance of beef by Hindus. Cultural food taboos also play an important role. For example, Americans don't eat horse meat because it is a cultural food taboo. Despite the fact that horse meat is a nutritional and edible type of food.
What is a tributary?
Any stream that flows into another stream is a tributary. Most major rivers have hundreds of tributaries, which on a map look like branches of a tree. One classification system of rivers is based upon the number of tributaries a river has.
What is the largest shopping mall in terms of gross leasable area?
The South China Mall in Dongguan, China, has more than 6.5 million square feet, 600,000 square meters, of leasable space. It is the largest shopping mall in the world in terms of total area. Consisting of 9.6 million square feet, 890,000 square meters.
What is significant about the country of Comoros?
The Union of Comoros, an island nation off the coast of Southeast Africa, consists of 4 main islands. In 1975, when a referendum was held to become independent from France, one of the 4 islands, Mahore, Mayotte, decided to remain a colony of France. To this day it is still administered by France.
How was Pompeii destroyed?
In the year 79 CE, the volcano Mt. Vesuvius erupted and buried the ancient Roman town of Pompeii under 20 feet, 6 meters, of lava and ash. Pompeii is famous because excavations of the city, which began in 1748 and continue to this day, provide an excellent look at Roman life at the beginning of the millennium. The covering of the city by debris preserved not only the places where people last stood but also paintings, art, and many other artifacts. The nearby city of Herculaneum also was perfectly preserved. Although a much smaller version of Pompeii, it contains some of the best art, architecture, and examples of daily life in Roman times, and is only 20 minutes away from Pompeii.
What is the longest river in the world?
Egypt's famous Nile River is the longest in the world. It is more than 4,100 miles, 6,597 kilometers, long from its sources in the Ethiopian highlands. The source of the portion of the Nile called the Blue Nile, and Lake Victoria, the source of the White Nile. The Nile Valley is the center of contemporary and ancient Egyptian civilization. Following the Nile in length are the Amazon, in Brazil, the Missouri-Mississippi, United States. The Chang, or Yangtze, China, the Huang, or Yellow, China, and the Obi, Russia.
What are the Arctic and Antarctic circles?
The circles are imaginary lines that surround the North and South poles at 66.5 degrees latitude. The Arctic Circle is a line of latitude at 66.5 degrees north of the equator, and the Antarctic Circle is a line of latitude at 66.5 degrees south. Areas north of the Arctic Circle are dark for 24 hours near December 21 and areas south of the Antarctic Circle are dark for 24 hours near June 21. Almost all of the continent of Antarctica is located to the south of the Antarctic Circle.
How many Native American tribes are there in the United States?
There are 550 recognized tribes in the United States.
How is gerrymandering like a salamander?
In 1812, Massachusetts Governor Elbridge Gerry signed a law that established an oddly shaped congressional district. It was redrawn by political cartoonists into a salamander-type creature, and thus the term gerrymander was born. Gerrymandering is the process of establishing oddly shaped congressional districts in order to include voters from dispersed areas. Gerrymandered districts can be helpful or detrimental to minority groups, depending on who draws the borders. The U.S. courts have found gerrymandering to be a legal method of establishing congressional boundaries.
How does Old Faithful shoot water into the air?
A geyser, such as Yellowstone National Park's famous Old Faithful, is the result of an underground aquifer that is warmed by heated rocks and magma underground. There is a small fissure or crack in the aquifer's surface that allows the steam and heated water to jet from the ground, about every hour at Old Faithful.
How many lesbian and gay people are there in the world?
Most scientists believe that between 1 and 10% of the world's population is homosexual. This means that between 6.7 million to 670 million people are gay or lesbian.
What is Africa's largest lake?
Located in eastern Africa, Lake Victoria is Africa's largest lake. With a surface area of approximately 27,000 square miles, 70,000 square kilometers. It is also the world's second largest freshwater lake, after Lake Superior. Lake Victoria is bordered by Uganda, Kenya, and Tanzania. The lake was named by British explorer John Hanning Speke. The first European to see the lake, in 1858, in honor of the reigning British Queen.
What is the windiest place on Earth?
Mt. Washington, New Hampshire, is the windiest place. In 1934, regular wind speeds were clocked at 231 miles, 372 kilometers, per hour.
What was the Potsdam Conference?
At the end of World War II, the United States, United Kingdom, and USSR met at Potsdam, Germany, from July 17 to August 2, 1945. For a conference to determine how to control Germany and other Eastern territories. The Potsdam Conference divided Germany and Austria into Soviet, French, American, and British zones of control.
How did the Nazis use geopolitics?
During the Nazi era in Germany, 1933 to 1945, the science of geopolitics was utilized to support Germany's concept of Lebensraum, or living space. The Nazi concept of Lebensraum was based on the idea that there was a racial hierarchy that allowed superior races to conquer inferior races. Adolf Hitler used this warped sense of geopolitics to invade Czechoslovakia, Poland, and the Soviet Union. For example, many claimed that the ethnic Germans living in the Sudetenland of Czechoslovakia should be included within the German fatherland.
What is the tallest skyscraper in the world?
The Burj Dubai skyscraper is currently the tallest structure. When completed, it will reach a height of over 2,064 feet, 629 meters. It has surpassed the CN Tower in Toronto, Canada, which since 1976 was the world's tallest building at 1,815 feet, 553.3 meters.
How fast do you have to travel west to arrive earlier than when you left?
Normally, when flying between London and New York, the trip takes 7 hours. Thus, with the 5-hour difference in time between the two cities, you arrive 2 hours later than when you left London. If you could have flown on the now decommissioned Concorde, which traveled at Mach 2, 1,300 miles 2,092 kilometers per hour, 2 times the speed of sound, the trip between London and New York would have taken only 3 hours. Thus, with the 5-hour difference in time zones, you would have arrived 2 hours earlier than when you left.
Where does the name Saudi Arabia come from?
The name comes from the ruling Al Saud family, who have been in control of the country since 1932. Saudi Arabia is the world's only country named after its royal family.
How thick is Antarctica's ice?
Most of the ice in Antarctica is approximately 1 mile thick. Over 80% of the world's fresh water is stored in ice in Antarctica. Some have suggested that large chunks of ice be cut off from Antarctica and shipped to dry regions of the world, but this has yet to be done.
Does Louisiana have counties?
No. Louisiana is divided into 64 parishes rather than counties. These parishes are no different than counties, other than in name. The word parish comes from the parish system of the Catholic Church, and thus shows the French and Catholic influence on Louisiana.
How was the Earth formed?
Scientists believe that the Earth was formed, along with the rest of the solar system, from a massive gas cloud. As the cloud solidified, it formed the solid masses such as the Earth and the other planets.
How fast does the Earth spin?
It depends on where you are on the planet. If you were standing on the North Pole or close to it, you would be moving at a very slow rate of speed, nearly 0 miles per hour. On the other hand, those who live at the equator, and therefore have to move about 24,900 miles. 40,000 kilometers in a 24-hour period, zoom at about 1,038 miles, 1,670 kilometers, per hour. Those in the mid-latitudes, as in the United States, breeze along from about 700 to 900 miles, 1,126 to 1,448 kilometers, per hour.
Which Hawaiian island was once a leper colony?
On the island of Molokai in Hawaii, authorities established a secluded leper colony on an inaccessible cove. Its founder, Father Damien, served and cared for the inhabitants. He eventually died of the disease, and the Catholic Church made him a saint for his work.
What is subduction?
When two tectonic plates meet and collide, crust must either be lifted up, as in the case of the Himalayas, or it must be sent back into the earth. When crust from one plate slides under the crust of another, it is called subduction. And the area around the subduction is called a subduction zone.
What did the domino effect have to do with United States involvement in the Vietnam War?
American military strategists believed that if one country became communist, it would begin a never-ending succession of countries converting to communism, thus the domino metaphor. North Vietnam, at the time of the American invasion, was comprised primarily of communist and communist sympathizers, whereas South Vietnam was more democratic-leaning. Policymakers believed that the United States had to do everything possible to keep every country from falling to communism. This included sending American troops to Vietnam. Though Vietnam fell to the communists, the theory of the domino effect was proven incorrect because neighboring countries did not fall to communism as predicted. In fact, the U.S. war and policy toward Vietnam caused many adjacent countries to become even more fervently opposed to U.S. policy in the region. And some theorize that this contributed to turmoil and genocide in such countries as Cambodia and Laos.
How many times does lightning strike the Earth each year?
About 20 million bolts of lightning are generated in the atmosphere every year.
How many tectonic plates are there?
There are a dozen significant plates on the planet. Some of the largest include the Eurasian Plate, North American Plate, South American Plate, African Plate, Indo-Australian Plate, Pacific Plate, and Antarctic Plate. Some smaller plates are located between the major plates. The smaller plates include the Arabian Plate, containing the Arabian Peninsula, the Nazca Plate. Located to the west of South America, the Philippine Plate, located southeast of Japan. Containing the northern Philippine Islands, the Cocos Plate, located southwest of Central America. And the Juan de Fuca Plate, just off the coast of Oregon, Washington, and Northern California.
What was the first major city in the Western Hemisphere?
From the 1st through the 7th centuries, the city of Teotihuacan flourished. Located northeast of modern Mexico City, Teotihuacan had a maximum population of approximately 200,000 and was the first major city in the Western Hemisphere. The city was graced with the Pyramid of the Sun and the Pyramid of the Moon. Teotihuacan should not be confused with the Aztec city of Tenochtitlan, which was built nearly 6 centuries later in the area that is now known as Mexico City.
What cities have the most crime in the United States?
According to major rankings, Detroit, Michigan, Camden, New Jersey, St. Louis, Missouri, and Oakland, California have the most crime.
Why did the sun never set on the British Empire?
In the early 20th century, the United Kingdom included colonies from North and South America, Canada, British Guiana, and Bermuda, Africa, Egypt, South Africa, and Nigeria, Asia, India and Burma, and Oceania, Australia and New Zealand. Because the British Empire spanned the globe, there was always at least one portion of the empire in daylight.
What are the 7 hills of Rome?
The city of Rome sits upon 7 hills, Capitoline, Quirinal, Viminal, Esquiline, Caelian, Aventine, and Palatine. According to ancient legend, the first settlement in the area, the city of Romulus, was built upon Palatine.
What South American city has more Japanese residents than any city outside of Japan?
Sao Paulo, Brazil, has more Japanese residents than any other city outside of Japan. Well over 2 million Japanese live in this urban area. The original settlers 791 farmers traveled to Brazil from Kobe, Japan, in 1908.
Where is the equator?
The equator is the line located equidistant between the North and South poles. The equator evenly divides the Earth into the northern and southern hemispheres and is 0 degrees latitude.
What do minutes and seconds have to do with longitude and latitude?
Each degree of longitude and latitude is divided into 60 minutes. Each minute is divided into 60 seconds. An absolute location is written using degrees, degree, minutes, and seconds, of both longitude and latitude. Thus, the Statue of Liberty is located at 40 degrees 41 minutes 22 seconds north, 74 degrees 2 minutes 40 seconds west.
Which country is the world's leading lead producer?
Australia produces approximately 23.5% of the world's lead annually. Most of the lead is mined near Mt Isa in the northeast area of the country and near Broken Hill in the southeast.
Where is the world's tallest waterfall?
Angel Falls, in Venezuela, is the world's tallest waterfall at 3,212 feet, 979 meters. American pilot Jimmy Angel discovered the waterfall and named it after himself in 1935. At the time of the discovery, the falls were known to indigenous peoples such as the Pemen for thousands of years. They called the falls Kirpakupe Meru, which means waterfall of the deepest place.
How many oceans are there?
The seas and oceans of the world are actually one big world ocean because they are connected. Most of the time the world ocean is divided into 4 main parts: the Pacific, Indian, Atlantic, and Arctic. By far the largest is the Pacific Ocean, more than twice the size of the Atlantic. The Indian is third in size, followed by the tiny Arctic Ocean.
What is the difference between small and large-scale maps?
A small-scale map shows a small amount of detail over a wide area, such as the world. A large-scale map shows a large amount of detail while representing a limited area, such as neighborhoods or towns.
Can you ski in New Zealand?
New Zealand's South Island is famous for having some of the best skiing in the Southern Hemisphere. The centre of New Zealand skiing is Queenstown, which is a few hours by plane from capital city, Auckland. Ski season is July through September, when winter hits the countries of the southern latitudes.
What is the primary religion throughout Latin America?
Due to Spanish and Portuguese colonization, most Latin Americans are Catholic, about 83%. Protestants make up about 7% of the region. And the rest are atheists, non-religious, animists, or other religions.
What is the difference between GNP and GDP?
GDP, or Gross Domestic Product, is the value of all goods and services produced in a country in a year. GNP, or Gross National Product, is the total value of GDP plus all income from investments around the world. Per capita GDP is usually compared between countries.
What is tundra?
Tundra is dry, barren plains that have significant areas of frozen soil or permafrost. Tundra is common in the northernmost parts of North America, Greenland, Europe, and Asia. Although rather inhospitable, there is plant life on the tundra. This life consists of low, dense plants such as shrubs, herbs, and grasses. There are even some species of insects and birds that can survive the harsh conditions of tundra.
What is Nunavut?
Nunavut, Canada's third territory, whose capital is Iqaluit, is home to Canada's Indigenous people, the Inuit. This new territory, which entered the Dominion in 1999, covers approximately 1/5 of Canada's land area, but contains less than 1% of Canada's population, with just over 29,000 people.
What city is named for a game show?
The popular radio game show Truth or Consequences offered to host its 10th anniversary show in a city that would change its name to the show's title. In 1950, Hot Springs, New Mexico changed its name, and the 10th anniversary show was broadcast from Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. The city still holds the name today.
What was the intent of Magellan's expedition?
Ferdinand Magellan left Europe in 1519 hoping to circumnavigate the globe. He succeeded in reaching the Philippines in 1521, where he was later killed by natives. Though 5 ships and 241 men left Europe on September 20, 1519, only one ship, the Victoria, returned to Spain with 18 men on September 6, 1522. Despite Ferdinand Magellan's death on April 27, 1521, during a war in the Philippines, the Magellan expedition successfully circumnavigated the globe.
What's the big red rock in the middle of Australia?
The big, red, sandstone monolith in the center of Australia is called Uluru. Its indigenous name, it was previously called Ayers Rock. It is the world's largest monolith, approximately 1.5 miles. 2.4 kilometers, wide and 1/5 of a mile, 1,100 feet 335 meters, high.
What is inside the Earth?
At the very center of the Earth is a dense and solid inner core of iron and other minerals that is about 1,800 miles, 2,896 kilometers, wide. Surrounding the inner core is a liquid, molten, outer core. Surrounding the outer core is the mantle, which makes up the bulk of the interior of the Earth. The mantle is composed of 3 layers. 2 outer layers are solid and the inner layer, the asthenosphere, is a layer of rock that is easily moved and shaped.
Who is a peon?
A peon is a farm laborer in Central America who works on large farms known as haciendas.
What other countries have border disputes?
For years, India and Pakistan have had disputes about the borders of Kashmir, a region located in northern India. Other countries in Central America, like Honduras and El Salvador, have had disputes over very small parcels of land because of ill-defined border markings implemented during the country's colonial period.
What is the name of the currency of Botswana?
The South African country of Botswana, consisting primarily of the Kalahari Desert, uses the pula, which means rain, as their currency.
How many countries end in the suffix stan?
There are 8. 6 are former republics of the Soviet Union, Kazakhstan, Turkestan, Turkmenistan, Kyrgyzstan, Tajikistan, and Uzbekistan. Afghanistan and Pakistan are the two others.
What do dams do?
By blocking the flow of a river, a dam allows a reservoir of water to build up. Dams are built in order to minimize floods, to provide water for agriculture, and to provide water for recreational uses. Dams in the United States are somewhat controversial, as the Bureau of Reclamation and the armies Corps of Engineers battle to build more dams and control more water in the western United States. Many outdoor enthusiasts and environmentalists feel that dams are not always necessary.
What is the world's most densely populated island?
The Indonesian island of Java is the world's most densely populated island. It has a total population of over 124 million, which, when placed within its 51,000 square miles, 132,000 square kilometers, of land, gives it a density of over 2,431 people per square mile. Indonesia's capital city, Jakarta, is located on the island of Java.
What is the North Magnetic Pole?
The North Magnetic Pole is where compass needles around the world point. It is located in Canada's Northwest Territories at about 71 degrees north, 96 degrees west. Latitude and longitude, about 900 miles, 1,450 kilometers, away from absolute North Pole. It moves continuously, so to determine true north, look at a recent topographic map for your local area. It should note the magnetic declination, which means the degrees east or west that you'll need to rotate your compass to determine which way is actually north.
What is the difference between a bay and a gulf?
Both are bodies of water partially surrounded by land, and a bay is a smaller version of a gulf. Famous bays include the San Francisco Bay, California, the Bay of Pigs, Cuba, Chesapeake Bay, Maryland/Virginia area, Hudson Bay, Canada, the Bay of Bengal, a large bay near India and Southeast Asia, and the Bay of Biscay, France. Famous gulfs include the Gulf of Mexico, southern United States, the Persian Gulf, between Saudi Arabia and Iran, and the Gulf of Aden, between the Red Sea and the Arabian Sea.
How are mountains formed?
The process of orogeny, or mountain building, is related to continental drift. When two tectonic plates collide, they often form mountains. The Himalayas are the result of the Indo-Australian plate colliding with the Eurasian plate. At these collision zones, volcanoes and earthquakes are common.
Where is the world's largest mountain?
Hawaii's Mauna Kea is the world's largest mountain. It begins on the seafloor and rises 33,480 feet, 10,205 meters. Mt. Everest only rises 29,000 feet, 8,839 meters. Mauna Kea's peak reaches 13,796 feet, 4,205 meters, above sea level.
When were time zones established in the United States?
In 1878, Sir Sanford Fleming proposed dividing the world into 24 time zones, each spaced 15 degrees of longitude apart. The contiguous United States was covered by 4 time zones. By 1895, most states had begun to institute the standard time zones of Eastern, Central, Mountain, and Pacific on their own. But it wasn't until 1918 that Congress passed the Standard Time Act, establishing official time zones in the United States.
Which country has the highest per capita GDP?
Qatar, an oil-producing nation on the Arabian coast, has a gross domestic product of $80,600 per person. This is followed by banking giant Luxembourg, with a per capita GDP of $80,457, and Malta, with $53,359.
What were Marco Polo's contributions to exploration?
Though Marco Polo did not actually discover anything, his writings in Travels of Marco Polo served as Europe's introduction to the East, and spurred interest in exploration. Marco Polo, born in the mid-13th century in Venice, traveled with his father and uncle to China. During his stay, Polo served the Emperor Kublai Khan as an ambassador, as a governor, and in a host of other diplomatic positions. In his 30s he returned to Venice and fought against the city-state of Genoa and was eventually captured. While imprisoned in Genoa, he dictated the story of his travels to a fellow prisoner, creating the somewhat exaggerated memoir Travels of Marco Polo.
Who lives in the City of the Dead?
There lies on the outskirts of Cairo, Egypt, A very old cemetery filled with mausoleums, memorials, and mosque-shaped tombs and shrines. Because of severe overcrowding in Cairo, squatters now live inside these memorials to the dead. In what is called by many the City of the Dead. Recently, the Egyptian government provided the area with electricity and water. Built as a home for the dead, this cemetery is now becoming a home for the living.
What do A M and PM mean?
The distinctions A, M and PM are abbreviations for ante-meridiem and post-meridiem, which mean before midday and after midday, respectively.
What is the Forbidden City?
The Forbidden City, located in the center of Beijing, China, was the home of the emperor and the entire imperial court for close to 500 years. Completed in 1420, the Forbidden City, also known as the Purple Forbidden City or Gugong, was the home of 24 emperors from the Ming and Qing dynasties. For centuries, visitors were not allowed into this imperial city. In 1950, several decades after the last emperor was expelled, the city was made a museum and opened to the public.
Which continent has the highest average elevation?
The average elevation of Antarctica, approximately 8,000 feet. 2,438 meters, is higher than that of any other continent. The highest point in Antarctica is Vinson Massif, with an elevation of 16,860 feet, 5,139 meters.
What are the Cordilleras of Colombia?
In Colombia, the Andes are split into 3 separate mountain ranges. They are the Cordillera Occidental, Western Range, the Cordillera Central, Central Range, and the Cordillera Oriental, Eastern Range. The city of Cali is located in the valley between the Occidental and Central Ranges, while Bogotá is located between the Central and Oriental.
What is the Atacama Desert?
One of the world's driest deserts, the Atacama is located in northern Chile. It is completely barren of plant life. The town of Calama, which is located in the Atacama, has never received rain. The Atacama is a source for nitrates and borax.
What is global warming?
Global warming is the gradual increase of the Earth's average temperature, which has been rising since the Industrial Revolution. If temperatures continue to increase, some scientists expect major climatic changes, including the rise of ocean levels due to ice melting at the poles. According to many scientists, global warming is primarily due to the greenhouse effect.
What is the longest bridge in the world?
Completed in 1956, the Lake Pontchartrain Causeway that connects New Orleans with Mandeville, Louisiana, is 24 miles, 38.6 kilometers, long, the longest bridge in the world. A parallel bridge adding 2 more lanes was completed in 1969.
What is a city?
In the United States, a city is a legal entity delegated power by a state and county to govern and provide services to its citizens. Cities also have charters, which are somewhat akin to local constitutions, and have specific boundaries.
Why isn't Tibet on the map?
Tibet is not on the map because it is no longer an independent country. Though Tibet was once a theocratic Buddhist kingdom, China annexed it in 1950. Tibet is now a mildly autonomous region in southwestern China with a puppet communist government. In addition to the destruction of the Tibetan Buddhist religion in the 1960s by China, China also moved Tibetans out of the area and moved ethnic Chinese into Tibet to help moderate Tibet's secessionist ideas.
How many foreign students attend universities and colleges in the United States?
There are more than 564,000 foreign students attending schools in the United States. Asia contributes 58%, Europe 15%, Latin America 11%. Africa 6%, Canada 5%, the Middle East 3%, and Oceania 0.8%.
What are latitude and longitude lines?
Lines of latitude and longitude make up a grid system that was developed to help determine the location of points on the Earth. These lines run both north and south and east and west across the planet. Lines of latitude, those that run east and west, begin at the equator, which is 0 degrees. They extend to the North Pole and the South Pole, which are 90 degrees north and 90 degrees south, respectively. Lines of longitude, those that run north and south, begin at the prime meridian, which is the imaginary line that runs through the Royal Observatory in Greenwich, England. The lines of longitude extend both east and west from the prime meridian, which is 0 degrees, and converge on the opposite side of the Earth at 180 degrees.
Can you stand an egg on end only on the spring equinox?
It is a common legend that an egg can be balanced on its end only on the spring equinox, March 21st. Actually, there's nothing magical about gravity on the spring equinox that would allow an egg to stand on end. It can happen at any time of the year with patience and perseverance.
What percentage of Americans have used cocaine?
Approximately 14% of the U.S. population uses or has used cocaine.
Why do I need a zip code?
ZIP, Zone Improvement Program, codes were created by the U.S. Postal Service in 1963 to help sort and distribute mail more effectively. Each zip code represents a specific geographic area, with each digit further pinpointing the recipient's address. For instance, the first digit, 0 to 9, of each zip code represents an area of the United States. From 0 in the northeast to 9 in the west.
What are ice core samples and why are they important?
An ice core sample is a thick column of ice, sometimes hundreds of feet long, that is produced by drilling a circular pipe-like device into thick ice and then pulling out the cylindrical piece. Ice core samples from places like Greenland and Antarctica provide scientists with important clues about past climates. Air trapped in the ice remains there for thousands of years, so when scientists collect ice cores, they can analyze the air to determine the composition of the atmosphere at the time the ice was formed. Sediments and tiny bugs are also found in the ice and provide additional clues to the state of the natural world at the time the ice was deposited.
What is the highest point east of the Mississippi?
North Carolina's Mt. Mitchell is the tallest point east of the Mississippi River at 6,684 feet, 2,037 meters.
Where is the Bay of Pigs?
The Bay of Pigs is a bay in southwestern Cuba. In 1961, the bay became the location of an attempted coup against the Cuban Government by revolutionaries trained and financed by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency. After the attempted coup failed, the United States abandoned the revolutionaries, most of whom were killed or captured in the days following the coup attempt.
Is the Tasmanian devil a real animal?
The Tasmanian devil is a real animal, though it resembles few characteristics of its cartoon counterpart. The real Tasmanian devil is a carnivorous marsupial that lives on the island of Tasmania, just southeast of the Australian mainland.
Where was the world's first monument to an insect established?
On December 11, 1919, Enterprise, Alabama, dedicated a monument to the boll weevil. This tall statue of a woman with raised arms holding a boll weevil declares, "In profound appreciation of the boll weevil and what it has done as the herald of prosperity." The boll weevil, a beetle that attacks bolls of cotton, spread across the South at the beginning of the 20th century, wiping out cotton crops. Residents of Enterprise switched from cotton crops to peanut crops, thus discovering a new era of prosperity. The monument to the boll weevil is to remind residents and visitors alike of the resourcefulness of the community and the ability of man to diversify.
Where will the biggest dam in the world be located?
The Three Gorges Dam, which spans the Yangtze River in China's Hubei province, will be the biggest dam in the world once it is completed. It will be capable of generating 22,500 megawatts of power. Over 1,500,000 people will likely be displaced as a result of living in the valleys above the dam. This fact, along with the potential loss of thousands of archaeological sites, has been a source of controversy since the project was conceived in the 1990s.
Everest growing taller?
Because of the shifting plates underneath the surface of the Earth, MT. Everest is actually growing at a rate of 2.4 inches, 6.1 centimeters, per year.
Which South American countries are members of OPEC?
Ecuador, 500,000 barrels/day, and Venezuela, 2.3 million barrels/day. Are both members of OPEC, Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries. Bolivia and Brazil may be members in the near future.
Measured by area, what is the largest city in the United States?
Juneau, Alaska, the capital of the state, is the largest city in the United States. With over 3,100 square miles, 8,000 square kilometers.
What is the channel?
The Channel Tunnel, or Channel, is a railroad tunnel under the Strait of Dover in the English Channel. The channel runs for 31 miles, 50 kilometers, between Folkestone, near Dover, in the United Kingdom, and Sangatte, near Calais, in France. Opened in 1994, the channel connects England with the rest of continental Europe.
How many illegal immigrants are there in the United States?
Some estimates take into account responses to the U.S. Census survey, pegging the number at approximately 11.3 million people.
How has the West Bank caused conflict?
The West Bank, which refers to the western bank of the Jordan River, was supposed to become part of an independent Palestine at the same time Israel became a state. However, Arab attacks following the United Nations 1947 proclamation of Israeli and Palestinian statehood led Israel to take over the West Bank when Israel became an independent state in 1948, following a 1950 truce. Jordan occupied the West Bank, but Israel retook the land during the 1967 war against its Arab neighbors. Peace talks in the late 1980s led to an agreement between Israel and the Palestine Liberation Organization (PLO) for limited Palestinian self-rule in the West Bank.